I don't blame you if you think this election isn't going to change anything. Two of the most unpopular presidents in American history are running against each other for the second time. I'm sure a ton of you don't think there's that big of a difference between them, or at least nothing will get done no matter who's in office. But that's probably because you don't know about Project 2025. What is Project 2025? It's this year's Republican platform. Well, technically it's written by the Independent Heritage Foundation, but it's authored by hundreds of conservatives associated with Trump and the Republican Party. It's 900 pages of conservative hellfire, so I read it so you don't have to. You're welcome. Put simply, Project 2025 turns the next president into a dictator. It does this by taking control of the DOJ, the FEC, the FCC, and the military. They fire the civil servants who refuse to help Trump institute things like his Muslim travel ban and replace them with their hand-picked sycophants. Now, I know it just sounds like I rattled off a bunch of random acronyms, but those are the bedrock of our democracy. Subverting them would destroy our country. The Department of Justice would be under complete control of Trump. Technically, this is already how it works. The president decides who the Attorney General is, and the Attorney General leads the DOJ. But the presidency and the DOJ have historically remained independent from each other. Case in point, Biden hasn't interfered in any of his son's federal cases, nor talked to Attorney General Merrick Garland about going after Trump. But Project 2025 would eliminate that independence, and use the DOJ as the president's personal lawyers to go after his political opponents and protect his allies. The Federal Communications Commission would be rewired to favor Trump's allies. The FCC has a ton of rules preventing monopolies of disinformation from forming. Project 2025 seeks to tear those down. This would allow Republican media giants like the Sinclair Broadcast Group to buy up more and more stations, which they can then turn into conservative propaganda. Imagine every news station being Newsmax or Breitbart. That's what Project 2025 wants. In addition, part of this plan is to end the status of NPR and Pacifica radio stations as non-commercial education states. This denies them their numbers at the low end of the radio spectrum, which is then going to be replaced with religious programming. The Federal Election Commission will be entirely controlled by Republicans. That gives them control over elections, so they can essentially choose who wins and who loses. Of course, it's not like Donald Trump has tried to overturn an election to favor him, right? Project 2025 advocates a strategy that would get the Attorney General to defend the FEC when citizens try to sue the agency to try and get them to enforce the law. If this were to be implemented, it would block one of the few ways we have to address illegal electioneering. You could be intimidated by someone outside of a polling station to vote in a certain way, essentially allowing these people to control how people vote. It's not just agencies like these that would be affected by this. Using the Insurrection Act, the president will take control of the military. And remember, this is the same guy who tear-gassed protesters for a photo shoot. The National Guard would be deputized across the United States to act as immigration enforcement officers under Trump's command. The Secret Service's Uniform Division would be authorized to act outside of the White House and its immediate surroundings, i.e. Washington, D.C. The director of the FBI would be personally accountable to the president as well. All of this is just the beginning. I haven't even gotten to the specific policy that this plan wants to force onto the American people. They talk about national abortion bans, forcing federal healthcare providers to deny gender-affirming care to transgender people, and removing protections against discrimination on the basis of sexual or gender identity. The United States would leave countries to fend for themselves in Europe if Russia decides to go further than Ukraine. The United States also wouldn't need congressional approval to give military equipment or ammunition to foreign nations, which means we could be funding the war on Russia's side. And maybe not everyone is a serial killer, but at least we can understand that we shouldn't be making capital punishment the standard. So yeah, this plan would turn America into a military state that seeks to crush opposition and keep Republicans in office. But I haven't addressed Trump's connections to all of this. After all, Trump's campaign has Agenda 47 as their official policy position, which is just a lot of standard Republican stuff. But Project 2025 is undoubtedly a Trump-driven operation. There's people like Johnny McEntee, a senior advisor to the project and one of Trump's most loyal enforcers. There's Ben Carson, who's an author of the project and was Secretary of Housing and Urban Development under Trump. Carson is also one of 8 people on Trump's vice presidential shortlist and has been reached out to be vetted for the position. There's Russell Vought, who's another author of the project, who was previously director of the Office of Management and Budget under Trump. And wouldn't you know it, he's also just been named policy director of the RNC's Platform Committee. And finally, we have Stephen Miller, a major figure in Project 2025 and a key architect of immigration policy under the Trump presidency. Miller is currently under consideration for a senior role in the possible re-election of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not going to be screwing around in office for 4 years like he was in his first term. His team has an active plan to ensure that his plans take place. And by making sure that their people are in every level of government, there will be no one to stop it. If you want to read it all for yourself, I've linked the website in the description of this video, where you can read all 900 pages of Project 2025. But if you aren't convinced or feel like I left anything out, Feel free to leave a comment and I'll do my best to respond. If you enjoyed the video, I'd strongly encourage you to like and subscribe. These conversations are important to have, and I'm always going to be pushing to find the right and clear answers. Thanks for watching.